1973, isn't it beautiful? A thing of beauty. Mark owns this 1973, and let me tell you, Mark's pretty new to owning one of these. I don't know if he's had Landcruisers in the past, but Mark is in our area, southeast Queensland. Says this one spent 3.5 years at Dalby, if you know Dalby, Queensland. So where it's come before that, he doesn't know, but a young fella owned it out at Dalby, and Mark said he swapped it for a truck. He owned a business, had a leftover truck, and they just did a handshake, and he owns a 40. And then Mark's telling the story now. Now, a 40 series owner will know all about this. Mark's saying, oh man, I can't believe how many people are coming up and saying hello and coming up and waving at me and stopping me at the servo. That's what happens when you own a 40. Not as much with any other model of Landcruiser. You get a few waves in a 60, but when you own a 40, you are cool. A bit like me, exactly. And one thing, even we've had customers, I kid you not, they say I own a Tirana, fully minted, decked out, Holden, own a Tirana and own a 40, and I don't get the waves I do in my Tirana that I get in my 40. For some reason, everyone can relate to a 40 series, and I understand why. They're beautiful, and this is no exception. 1973. Back then, look at this. This was the end. 1973, about 1970, the little side apron indicators, the end of the badge in that style. We sell all this brand new genuine. It's mad. The demand around the world. Toyota Japan still make this stuff. Maybe Toyota Australia doesn't sell it so much, but a ton of it goes through our doors for all these old ones. Now this is, Mark's owned this for about 2 weeks. It's basically just come in for some maintenance. We'll have a look. But at the front, genuine bumper bar, and that Bullbar. Can anyone tell me about that Bullbar? I've heard a few stories. Someone said ARB used to make them and sell them to the dealer. Someone told me the dealer used to make them. Someone told me they were genuine. But you don't see too many of them. But back in the day, you saw a lot of those where they bolt onto the Bullbar. I've read no literature on them. I don't even know myself. I read in forums, plenty of dudes with plenty of ideas, but it doesn't mean it's necessarily true. So what's your take on that style Bullbar? Has anyone got experience? Did anyone work for ARB or Toyota in the day? Please tell. Also on the exterior of this car, it's pretty stocko standard. The sun visor, you can see now the sun, where the sun's going down here. These things work a bloody treat. This one looks a little, not even homemade, but just something I haven't seen before. And it is working a treat. It's bloody nice. And someone has actually taken the time to do little cutouts up in there for the windscreen wipers. Looking at the cuts, oh, maybe it was made for a later model and someone's altered it for this model. I can't tell, no idea. I do know when you're traveling into the west, 3 o'clock on, visors are bloody beautiful, and Mr. Landcruiser sells visors. The roof is fiberglass. Why would we do that? Back in the day, we didn't have the option of imported panels or what have you, and fiberglass with the go. So there's been some rust in it over the years. Otherwise, it is all pretty solid, this old girl. It's just a roof that's been replaced. Plain and simple tray. I know it's checker plate steel, very simple. We've got tie downs. There's nowhere on this tray for drop sides, so I'd say it's never had drop sides or someone's grinded them off. What you see on this one is what you get. You've got some work lights at the back just so you can light up your tray of an evening. Simple, man. This is a simple, original 73. Let's have a look under the bonnet. Here we go. As I walked around the front too, I didn't mention, it's got some LED lights, make things nicer at night. Geez, LED makes a difference. Look at the engine bay. It looks like it's from 1973. Looks like it hasn't been touched in all those years. She's pretty old, and surface rust and what have you. Don't matter. Toyota don't give a shit. It'll just keep running. She is a workhorse. Now, there was some carburetor problems. It came in here for fueling issues. The carby has had its full rebuild, gone through timing and a few other little things. It's just basic maintenance on this one, old school maintenance that a modern mechanic won't even touch, but that's all done now. This is it. Look at that. Somebody has added that power steer. It's got factory power steer because That was not an option on the 155 engine or any of the old the F1 engines. Let's talk nerdy stuff. Look at the firewall. Look, there is no booster. But note, Toyota, were they thinking ahead back then? Next to where the booster would go is the firewall support, and it goes down and around on an angle. That was straight for years. So they've moved that for a booster, but they moved the firewall before the booster came out. So is that a little sign that Toyota knew what was happening, that they knew a booster was coming, change the firewall first? A year or so down the track, then they start putting a booster in there. It just worked out perfect. So the engineers were onto that before the booster even came. That's it. I could just waffle, but it's an original old F engine. Runs like a pearl now. I'll tell you something, this is an original old rig, but it's got a few points of difference going on in this 1973. Straight up, I see aircon. The old aircon that they say was, it's the more favourable one. Guys like to argue with each other in forums that it's not original, not Toyota, the dealer fitted. Yeah, a dealer probably put most of them in, but they were in the Toyota parts catalogue. I've gone through these old catalogues. Even the visor, people say that's not genuine, but it was still in the original Toyota catalogues. You could go into the dealer and pick things like that in the Toyota catalogues. Fascinating. And so this one's got aircon. I'm guessing this one was retrofitted a little bit later on, as was this gear stick. This gear stick says we're a 5-speed, so now we've upgraded power steer. Someone had aircon, it's not running, and a 5-speed all in this. I'm still running the drum brakes. A few other add-ons is the parcel shelves. This is a nice sturdy one, bit of pinch weld. It looks a bit like the MrLandcruiser.com. Just type in parcel shelf. And this one is been in there a few years, and also Car Builders has been added in recently because that's nice, clean still. Everything's looking lush in there. Now, the rest of it, she's just a dirty old dusty 40 series, and it would tell a few stories. Whoever has owned this has used it. You can tell they've given her, it's definitely not a factory paint job, because I look at the dash and I see paint runs all over it, but that's just helping the rust. Extra gauges have been added back in the day, fuel, all sorts of gauges. We've got amperage gauge and some sockets for extra power, and also a reading to tell how much 12.9 power is coming out of that battery. Oh, I could just sit in and relax. Nice, dark old vehicle. I tell you what, when you've got these old 1973s, 74s and older, the door handle isn't here. It's a lot harder. You've got to lean forward, and I'm not picking me bum. I'm actually getting out of the vehicle. Here we go, let's wrap this up. It definitely didn't come in here for an air filter, but I think Richard's words were, if he likes it or not, he's getting a fucking air filter because it ain't leaving with that thing. And that's really our attitude when we've got a car in here. If it needs doing and doing properly, we can't let it leave with this rubbish. It looks like she's been rolling in the dirt, so it's not going back in there. Just things like that. This client's well looked after. We've got him covered. Now, quick few things I didn't mention. Mix match of wheels. I'm sure that doesn't bother Mark at the moment. It's all legal, tread's legal, tyre age is fine, but it's got a mixed match of, it's got the old hubcap one on the end. And look down there, that is, it just tells you that axle. If you don't know, you can look at an axle and say that's a semi-floater, because the later ones, the floating rear axles, they actually poke out past the wheel. That's your indication there, that those that don't know. I also just spotted this tray has a drawer, so we'll open that up. The tray has a drawer, and you just utilise tools and stuff. And that's it. I didn't ask Mark his future plans. We're on the phone having a yarn. He's in Tasmania for a few days living it up. He's going to come back and collect this and just enjoy it. What did I say? He's had it for 1 or 2 weeks. It's time to really enjoy it. Well purchased or well swapped, Mark. You've done very well. FJ45.